and welcome to Issues and Insights. I'm Jarrett Cox. Thank you so much for joining us. As things hopefully eventually cool down, we'll start to worry about all the snow that everybody forgets how to drive in. And it's very important to think about who keeps our roads safe and safe for us to drive on. So I have Dwight Morgan with the Road Department here to talk all about that.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Nice to be here this morning.
You know, we were talking a little bit before the show. It's such a small world. We're from close to the same area.
We are.
So can you tell me a little bit about how you got into this job?
Well, I ran for public office and was elected back in 2011, or 2011, and I guess I took office in 2011 or 2012. Forgive me, I wasn't ready for that question this morning, but so I served on fiscal court, and I was a board member at the hospital. That was just a given for 7.5 years. And Judge Barry, we were, so our road supervisor and our assistant were close to retiring. As a matter of fact, our assistant road supervisor was preparing to leave in the summer months of 2017 or 18. And our road supervisor had a little medical scare, and he just out of the blue came up and gave his notice within about a month, and the assistant at the time wasn't prepared for that. He was actually leaving that year, so we were in search of a replacement, and I served on, since my district had the most road miles, I had spent a lot of time with our road department with from the funding aspect from Frankfort, dealing with our representatives, and I spent a lot of time asking for funding, and so the judge asked me. We spent about, I don't know, it was like several months. It went by. We didn't get that position filled. So just one day out of the blue, he just asked me if I'd be interested in taking over that position, and lo and behold, I'm here. So that's kind of where it kind of started on fiscal court, and with the responsibilities of fiscal court and the hospital board, he felt like I was the right choice, and I'm just happy to be here. It just feels like the right spot for me. So I had a lot of history. So
you know, it's kind of funny how things just fall into place sometimes.
it is. Yeah, I had a uncle that served on fiscal court for several years. As a matter of fact, the building that we're in, our shop building, his name's on that. So I feel, I feel very fortunate to be where I'm at. I've got a great pool of people surrounding me, and we're a really good team. I'm very, very thankful for. I get a little bit emotional. They're good people to work with every day. So.
And they do fantastic work. You know, there's a lot of work goes into making sure that the roads are safe for people to drive on.
That's true, absolutely. As of in the last year and a half, we've had a lot of federal ARPA money that's came our way. So there was a lot of infrastructure work that had to be completed before those roads got resurfaced, and our guys, they knocked it out. They've really they stepped up, done a great job. They work hard every day, and we just know how to get the work done. So.
Getting the work done, that's the most important thing. And I'm going to start with a hot topic, because I know that a lot of people, there's a lot of, especially going on social media, you see a lot about it. So I'm going to get this question out of the way first. The roundabouts. What can you tell us about the roundabouts?
Well, that's another form of federal money that was provided to the states. We have nothing to do with that. That falls under the State Highway Department. Our local District 4 office is handling all those roundabouts. So I know a lot of people, some of them are very much needed. They work well. Some of the others are very questionable. So, but that falls under State Highway.
So that's not your thing.
That's not my thing. No, that would be Mr. Brad Bottoms and his office. So.
Okay, well, at least now people know who to complain to.
There you go. Yeah, I'm always very helpful on giving their telephone number out. So.
And we'll put that at the bottom of the screen for you. So, we've talked about the great people that we have that are working on the roads, keeping them safe. So I want to go into a little bit about the bridges. There's quite a few bridges, actually more in Hardin County than I had known before we started. And we talked a little bit about a few of them are getting replaced this year. Can you talk a little bit about that process?
Yeah, so our bridges are inspected on a biannual basis. So they'll inspect half of them one year, the other half the following year. So, and you always will have something in those reports. We may have weight limit signs that need to be addressed. We have to replace those within a certain period of time. The inventory that we have currently, we've got 37 bridges. 3 of those are rated in poor condition. 2 of those our department will be replacing either through a contractor or one of those, which is a smaller bridge, we'll be actually doing the bridge replacement in-house. The other bridge will be contracted out through the State Highway Department. They're taking over this particular bridge replacement. It's an old wooden bridge at Meeting Creek that P&L Railroad was the owner of the bridge, and it's needing to be completely replaced with a modern structure. So,
these 3 bridges, Mill Creek, Needham, and Meeting Creek Road, which are being replaced, you want to make sure these bridges are safe because you want kids that are going home that may live on these roads. You want the school bus to be able to actually drive over these bridges.
That's correct. The Meeting Creek Bridge, for instance, that wooden bridge, if that bridge gets shut down, it's actually another 9 miles to get around to those people in an emergency. So that's 18 miles out of the way for emergency services, ambulances, to respond and get that patient who may be in dire need of life support, and it could be the difference between life and death.
Yeah, I mean, you think about 9 miles. If that bridge is shut down, every minute counts in that kind of emergency.
And I kind of like to point out our county is the way that it's laid out geographically. We don't have straight roads. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of roads that go through a lot of different changes in elevation, and some of these roads are very windy, and you can't make good time on those roads. So
going into fall, which I hope happens at some point here in the near future, because these 90-degree weather days, they're not good for somebody that's a wrestling fan that has a closet of mostly black clothes.
Yeah, it almost looks like they're in the rearview mirror now. So.
Oh God,
yeah.
let's hope.
Let's hope so. Yeah.
So when you start preparing for snow, what goes into that plan?
Normally, we will have a department-wide snow meeting with those involved that take care of our county facilities, our different departments like the detention center, and our county maintenance department. We will get together the 1st of November, go through the different sites that we have, and we'll talk about who can and can't take care of those particular facilities. So, and it changes from year to year. We've obviously we did take care of quite several locations downtown. There's the library, the county attorney's parking area, and then you have your ambulance stations that sites. You've got 3 different sites: Sonora, Radcliffe, and then here in at the county government location there on Patriot Parkway. So that's some of what we talk about. Of course, our salt usage. And that's pretty much it. We try to hit those. Obviously, our ambulance departments are taken care of. They've gotten some different equipment to take care of their some of their facilities. So they'll also be part of that conversation. I kind of left them out. Emergency services.
And Hardin County Schools is also included in this.
Yeah, sometimes they are at that meeting. They've done that a couple times since I've been there at the road department. So we try to coordinate with them as well.
I think we learned this year from the Jefferson County fiasco that it's very important that the buses know what they're doing.
Yeah, and you know they have to make their own decision on school closures. So,
So once you've had these meetings and you've kind of done your plan, when does the road department determine when to actually send out snowplows?
that's a really good question. We struggle with that every snowstorm. So every snowstorm is different. Every storm event is different. It could be an ice storm. So depending on the amount of accumulation on how quick it's falling, will determine on when we will start our process of snow removal. If it's, a quick storm within, a matter of a few hours and it drops a couple inches of snow, we'll wait till that is completed before we start. Time of day is another, depending on when that storm comes in. It seems like they always come in very, very early in the morning. So, but every storm is different. It's just dependent on if it's a huge storm, then probably when we get that first 2 inches of snow, we'll be out removing the snow. We can work with our department. We have 16 employees. 3 of those we're office people, but I can tell you that me and my assistant road supervisor, we're also part of that road crew. So if there's trucks available, then a lot of times either I'm out or he's out in one of those trucks clearing snow if need be. And then that's a good scenario if everybody is healthy and shows up. It's when we have sickness. I can tell you during COVID we had about 11 or 12 people out at one time during a snow event, and we had the option of using some other people who we're familiar with those trucks that could help us, the public, if you will.
What is the best place for someone to get that advice that it's dangerous, you really shouldn't go out unless you absolutely have to?
Obviously, I think probably the one of the best places I use our local television stations to keep abreast of the storm. I think they pretty well have a good indication of how traffic is moving, how what kind of weather we've got, how dangerous it can be. So that would be one place that I would check. Again, they can, if it's an emergency, they can always call 911, and if need be, they can call the office. But we get a lot of telephone calls, and so when a snowstorm hits, first thing we do, when we do go out, we've kind of changed up our method of attack of these storms. My assistant and an engineering person went out. They spent a lot of time running the routes, our snow routes. Our county's divided up into 5 different areas, and so they went through and our roads we'd had some more roads that were added, and our list was very dated. So they actually went out and ran the different areas that we've got to be more efficient. We're always looking for efficiency in county government, so these were the fastest ways of getting those areas, those roads cleared, and maybe in a lot more efficient manner than say, going. So what we do is we go out to the furthest points in our areas and work our way back. I think beforehand we had some areas that they would finish on one road and actually maybe pass several roads before getting those cleared along the way, which was we found some better efficiencies in the way that we do that. So.
And you talked about the 5 districts. How are those divided? Is that divided by magistrate districts, or is that divided?
No, that's just by the area.
Okay.
So it's by roads, the number of roads. So we try to keep those close in the amount of work to be done, and it proves out to be a lot more efficient that way.
So how do you determine what roads get cleared first?
Again, through that work that they did, they spent several months. Again, they go out to the furthest points, and we try to get our primary roads open first, and then we work from there. Again, from the furthest points out back in towards the road department. So what happens is at the end of the storm or later in the day, when you have some people that's going to get done before others, they can go out and start helping in the other areas, and which provides a lot closer access. They don't have to travel to the far ends of the earth to clear what roads haven't gotten done. So and if you have a breakdown, it's going to be closer to the shop. Your trucks aren't as far out. So that's kind of how it works.
Okay.
Seems to work the best for us.
So what information would you like the public to know to make that job easier on you and your crew?
Well, I think our subdivisions are those that we have some issues with parked vehicles. So if people can keep their vehicles off the right-of-way, out of the roads. Basketball goats are another issue that get left in cul-de-sacs. Again, we have to be able to turn, and if they get those and get them cleared, we do have some problems with parked vehicles that don't get moved.
You definitely don't want to wake up and find claw marks on your car.
Well, that's true. And we don't want to, obviously, we don't want to back into one that creates problems as well. We only have so much equipment, so.
Right. Especially in a big storm. My mind goes back anytime I think about storm. That state of emergency in 2022 when I got stuck on the Western Kentucky Parkway for quite a few hours.
Right.
So you want to make sure that you have every snowplower available to make sure you can get those roads cleared.
Yeah, when one of your trucks goes off and you've got to get out and get it taken care of, it just takes away from what you should be doing. So.
As we're kind of wrapping up here, one of the things that I know that the Hardin County government does that I really love is, and this is more of a general thing instead of more winter preparedness, but if there's potholes or damage in the roads, people can actually report that online to draw your attention to it.
That's correct. So that is another way we were talking about what methods are available on contacting county government. Texting, text.gov is another tool that can be used by the public to report potholes, drainage issues, garbage issues. Not only our department, but other departments as well can be contacted through the text.gov. So,
when you say garbage issues, can you elaborate a little more on what you mean by that?
Well, just garbage pickup. If there's garbage that's been missed that didn't get picked up, they can text through that department. So.
And we'll put that information at the bottom of the screen for people to know. Is there anything else that you think people should know about the road department, either what you all do or?
We just touched on a very small part of what we do. Again, my year-end report, we have a lot of information on there. You were talking about magisterial districts. We have 8 of those. So each magistrate has more or less, depending on what district they're in. We have basically 578 miles of county road that we are responsible for maintaining. I really want people to understand, my budget in a normal year. This year, I've got basically $1.6 million for just asphalt. My budget's going to be less than $4 million. It's probably closer to $3 million. Whereas for the last couple years, we've had some funding through ARPA, the American Recovery. Let's see how that's. Yes, the American Rescue Plan Act. The funding that come through, basically we call it COVID money. Our last year that we finished up, our last fiscal year, 2022-23, we were able to complete almost 84 miles of county roads on resurfacing at a cost of about $85,000 per mile. As you can see, when your budget's only $1.6 million,
You know, money doesn't get you very far.
It's going to get you about 19 miles of roads, whereas again, we completed about 84 miles of roads. So, which when we finished up the fiscal year, the condition of our roads, we went through a process of, I'm going to say, in January of 2022, we went through an extensive road grading process where all roads got graded from on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being the best, 10 being the worst.
Right.
So as we finished up this past fiscal year, I will tell you that this is something I'm proud of. 70% of our roads fall under that 1 to 5, so they're in very good condition.
And that's a testament to the work that you and your crews do.
But we've got to have the money to do it with, and that's kind of where I'm getting to. So we're going to go from spending $6.5 million in asphalt to $1.5 million this year, 23-24. So people
need to understand that the limited budget that you have, that you may not be able to get to everything that they want you to get to.
Yeah.
But
we think about roads all the time, but we kind of forget about our bridges. And the need, just right now, the immediate need for our bridges is $6.5 million. We don't have $6.5 million. We don't have that budget. It's, when you have a budget of $3 million, it makes it very difficult. So the bridges that we have now that we're replacing, those bridges, some of those we're looking at, $750,000 on replacement. The Meeting Creek Bridge is probably going to be that amount of money. We've got another long bridge, which is Solway Meeting Creek. That one's going to be $600,000. So that's today's prices. It's just like our asphalt. Our asphalt pricing has we had a huge jump. I've got that on one of my.
and we'll put that on the screen.
Okay.
But, unfortunately, we're out of time.
Okay.
But thank you so much for being here.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for watching. For HCEC-TV, I'm Jarrett Cox, and I'll catch you down the road.